The rain fell in soft, relentless sheets over the sprawling city streets, turning the asphalt into a dark mirror reflecting neon lights from the distant skyscrapers. In the shadows of a narrow alley, Clara Hayes, 17, clutched a worn leather satchel to her chest. Her clothes were frayed, her brown hair tangled from weeks of running between orphanages and temporary shelters, yet her hazel eyes burned with quiet determination. Tonight, for the first time, she was stepping into an unfamiliar world, the towering gates of Lockwood Manor, home to one of the richest and most secretive billionaires in the country, Gideon Lockwood. Rumors said no one had ever uncovered his family's mysteries, not even the people closest to him. Yet Clara had been given a chance, a scholarship placement as an assistant in his private archive. The massive gates swung open with a groan as she approached, the wet stones of the driveway reflecting her hesitant steps. The mansion loomed above her, a fortress of marble and glass, glittering with faint golden light. Her heart pounded. Fear, anticipation, and a spark of hope wove together like threads in a tapestry she could barely understand. Inside, the house smelled faintly of old wood and expensive perfumes. Servants moved silently, their expressions polite but guarded, as if every word and glance was cataloged for mistakes. Clara felt their scrutiny, but she refused to shrink. "You must be Clara Hayes," said a deep, commanding voice from the shadowed hall. It belonged to Gideon Lockwood, a man whose presence alone seemed to bend the air around him. Tall, sharp-featured, with steel-gray eyes that flickered between curiosity and calculation, he regarded her as one might study a rare artifact. "Yes, sir," Clara replied, steady despite the knot of anxiety in her stomach. Gideon's gaze lingered, measuring, almost predatory. "I've heard you're clever," he said slowly, "but cleverness is not enough in this house. Observation, patience, and courage, those are what survive." Clara swallowed, nodding. "I understand, sir." He gave a faint, almost imperceptible smile. "We'll see." The first night in the mansion was haunting. Clara was assigned a modest room in the east wing, a small space with a single window looking over the gardens. Outside, the rain drummed against the panes. She unpacked the few belongings she owned, her satchel, a notebook filled with scribbled thoughts and calculations, and a locket with a picture of the only family she had ever known, her late parents. As she sat by the window, her mind raced. Every corner of this house seemed designed to hide secrets. Locked doors, guarded hallways, and Gideon's ever-watchful eyes created a maze of intrigue. Clara knew one thing clearly. If she was to survive, and perhaps solve the mystery everyone else had failed to uncover, she would need to observe, plan, and act with precision and courage. Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the vast estate in stark white. For a brief moment, Clara thought she saw a shadow move across the grand hallway outside her room, though when she blinked, it was gone. A thrill ran down her spine. "This is it," she thought. "This is where I prove I belong." She opened her notebook, pen poised, and began to map her first strategy. The servants' routines, Gideon's habits, and the areas of the mansion most likely to contain hidden truths. Every scribble, every note, was a small seed of control, a preparation for the storm of challenges she knew awaited her. Somewhere deep in the mansion, Gideon sat in his private study, overlooking the rain-soaked grounds. His expression was unreadable, yet a shadow of curiosity and caution flickered in his eyes. This orphan, clever and determined, had just entered his world, and for the first time in decades, he wondered, could she be the one to finally unravel the mysteries of Lockwood Manor? The night deepened. The rain continued its relentless symphony, and in that quiet, Clara made a silent promise to herself. "I will uncover every secret. I will not be underestimated, and no one will stop me, not even him." The first move had been made. The game had begun. The sun rose slowly over Lockwood Manor, filtering through the tall arched windows and casting golden streaks across the polished marble floors. Clara awoke in her modest east wing room, the faint scent of rain still lingering in the air. Her hazel eyes flicked to her notebook, open on the desk beside her bed. The first night had already revealed one truth. Every corner of this mansion held secrets. Every glance carried meaning, and every step could either reveal or conceal. Clara dressed quietly, choosing a simple blouse and dark skirt, the attire that would allow her to blend into the mansion's intricate web of staff, guests, and household mysteries. She tucked her notebook into her satchel, knowing today would be her first real test. Exploration without permission. The corridors were alive with soft murmurs of servants, the distant clatter of breakfast trays, and the echo of Gideon's voice giving commands to his staff. Clara moved like a shadow, her footsteps soft against the marble, her eyes scanning the architecture. Every ornate archway, every corridor junction, every locked door whispered possibilities. She reached the grand library, a cavernous room lined with floor-to-ceiling shelves of leather-bound books. The faint scent of aged paper filled the air. Gideon often spent hours here, yet today it seemed empty. Clara approached a shelf near the corner, running her fingers along the spines of old volumes. She paused at a slightly misplaced tome, a subtle shift in the shelf that didn't match the others. Curiosity prickled. With careful precision, she pressed the spine, and to her surprise, a section of the bookshelf creaked open, revealing a narrow, hidden passage. Her heart raced. So the rumors were true, she thought. The mansion was a labyrinth of secrets. Clara slipped into the passage, her satchel brushing against the walls, illuminated only by faint light seeping through cracks. The air was colder here, tinged with dust and the faint metallic scent of old mechanisms. She discovered small rooms, abandoned notes, faded photographs and ledgers, some marked with strange symbols and coded numbers. Each fragment was a piece of a puzzle, pieces that nobody had noticed before. Hours passed as Clara meticulously documented everything in her notebook. Patterns emerged. Recurring names, odd sequences of dates, mentions of financial transfers, and references to mysterious projects that no one in the mansion spoke about. She traced connections between servants, family members, and trusted allies. Every detail strengthened her growing understanding. The mansion was more than a home. It was a vault of secrets, each carefully hidden under layers of loyalty, fear, and power. Her exploration was interrupted by the faint sound of footsteps behind her. She froze, pressing herself against the cold stone wall. Gideon appeared at the entrance of the passage, his imposing frame backlit by the grand library. "Clever girl," he said softly, his steel-gray eyes studying her. Most would never notice this passage. Even fewer would venture inside. Clara straightened, meeting his gaze without fear. "I observe, sir, and I learn." Gideon's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. "Be careful, Clara. Knowledge is a weapon. And in this house, weapons can wound the wielder as easily as the target." "I understand," Clara replied, her voice steady. "But if I am to survive here, I must know everything, before secrets find me." He studied her for a long moment, the air between them heavy with unspoken challenges. Then he stepped back, disappearing as silently as he had arrived. Clara exhaled slowly, the thrill and fear mingling in her chest. She knew Gideon had seen her, yet he had allowed her to continue. That alone was a statement. She was beginning to navigate the delicate balance of attention and autonomy within the mansion. The afternoon brought another revelation. While reviewing old ledgers she had found in the hidden rooms, Clara discovered mentions of a missing heirloom, a family artifact rumored to contain clues to Gideon's most valuable secrets. The entries were cryptic, written in a mix of shorthand and symbols. Clara's mind raced with possibilities. This was more than a mansion of wealth. It was a puzzle, a legacy of power, and a test of intellect. By evening, she had mapped a mental layout of the mansion, hidden passages, servants, routines, Gideon's probable movements, and potential allies among the staff. She began to notice patterns in their subtle behaviors. A glance exchanged between two servants, a slight hesitation when Gideon spoke, a whispered warning carried from one room to another. Each observation became another thread she could pull, another chance to weave influence without being noticed. That night, as she lay in bed, Clara traced the outline of the hidden passage in her notebook, marking every lock, corridor, and observation point. Lightning flashed outside, casting brief, stark shadows across the room. For a moment, she imagined herself as a queen on a chessboard, moving unseen, gathering power one step at a time. The mansion is alive, she thought, and I intend to master it. Somewhere in the depths of Lockwood Manor, Gideon stared out his study window, watching the rain-slicked gardens. For the first time in years, a thought unsettled him. This orphan may indeed be different. She sees what others cannot, and that could change everything. The first day of true strategy had ended. Clara had stepped deeper into the web of secrets, and both she and Gideon knew the game had only just begun. The morning sun cast long, golden rays over Lockwood Manor, glinting off the marble fountains in the courtyard. Clara awoke with a mix of anticipation and determination. Today, she would no longer merely observe. She would act, testing the waters of influence she had begun mapping in the mansion. After a quick breakfast in the servants' hall, she wandered through the corridors, taking mental notes of every glance exchanged, every hushed whisper. Each movement, each slight hesitation in behavior was a clue she could use. Clara's keen eyes caught subtle signs. A silver tray left slightly askew, a footstep that paused unnaturally, a whisper stopped mid-word when someone noticed her approaching. The mansion was alive with secrets, and she had begun to read its language. Her first deliberate test came during the morning chores. She approached Elena, a middle-aged housekeeper known for her meticulous attention to detail and her tendency to gossip when no one else was watching. "Miss Hayes," Elena greeted, a polite smile masking a flicker of curiosity. "Are you feeling settled?" Clara returned the smile, leaning casually on the polished banister. "I've noticed a few inconsistencies in the linen storage. It seems certain items are going missing or misplaced. Have you observed this?" Elena stiffened slightly, caught between surprise and the instinct to protect herself. I suppose there have been some errors," she admitted cautiously. "But the inventory has been complicated lately." Clara's tone softened, carefully measured. "I thought perhaps I could help. I enjoy organization, and I've noticed that even small oversights can create larger problems." By the end of the conversation, Elena had unwittingly revealed a hidden chain of staff members who managed the storage secretly, a subtle power structure Clara had never noticed before. She jotted the details in her notebook, mentally noting each connection. Small as it seemed, it was her first real advantage, understanding the hierarchy beneath the surface. Later, she explored the West Wing, where the staff's quarters were located. There, she discovered a tension between two young assistants, Marcus and Leela. Their interactions were brief, clipped, and loaded with unspoken rivalry. Clara observed silently, her notebook filling with notes on alliances, resentments, and hidden fears. Every staff member, she realized, had their own secret motives that, if leveraged carefully, could work in her favor. The afternoon brought the mansion's first real challenge. While cataloging old ledgers in the grand library, Clara noticed a figure hovering near the doorway. Ethan, the son of one of Gideon's closest advisors. Ethan was rumored to be ambitious, cunning, and dangerously perceptive. "You're poking around where you shouldn't," he said, his tone half curious, half threatening. His sharp gaze flicked over her notebook and the ledgers spread across the desk. Clara met his eyes steadily. "I'm here to learn. If I notice something important, I record it, that's all." Ethan smirked, stepping closer. "Not everyone in this mansion is pleased with new blood wandering the halls. You may find knowledge comes at a price." "I'm willing to pay it," Clara said, her voice unwavering. A flicker of something, respect, maybe surprise, crossed Ethan's face. "Bold," he muttered. "Be careful, secrets in this mansion bite." The encounter had tested her nerves, her ability to remain calm under scrutiny. Clara knew Ethan would watch her closely from now on, evaluating her every move. Yet she had held her ground, marking the first opponent's ally line on her mental chessboard. As dusk settled, the mansion's corridors glowed with a warm, golden light. Clara returned to her room, reviewing her notes. The staff's secret hierarchies, alliances, and vulnerabilities. The first open challenge from someone within the household. And the subtle cues from Gideon, who remained an unpredictable figure of authority. She closed her notebook, her mind already racing with plans for the coming days. Every observation, every conversation, every hidden corridor had a purpose, a puzzle piece in the grand scheme of unlocking Lockwood Manor's secrets. Lightning flashed in the distance, briefly illuminating the towering spires of the mansion. For a fleeting moment, Clara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. She had survived the first test. She had asserted her presence without drawing open confrontation, and in the shadows of the mansion, she was already weaving a network of influence that would serve her in the days to come. Before sleep claimed her, Clara whispered to herself, "They may doubt me, they may challenge me, but every secret, every fear, every hidden truth will be mine. And one day they'll see I am not just an observer, I am a force." Deep within the study, Gideon's eyes lingered on a ledger he had been reviewing. A faint frown tugged at his lips. She is clever, too clever perhaps. This orphan may see the threads of this house before I can untangle them, and that is both dangerous and intriguing. The first real battle of wits had begun, and Clara had made the first move. The morning fog clung to the sprawling gardens of Lockwood Manor, softening the sharp edges of the estate. Clara awoke with a sense of purpose sharper than the previous days. A new layer of the mansion's puzzle was within reach, and she intended to uncover it. After a quiet breakfast in the staff dining room, she moved toward the grand library again. But today was not merely for observation. Today, she had a plan. She carried with her a small bundle of notes she had compiled from her explorations, and her mind was already calculating the outcomes of subtle moves, which staff she could trust, who would resist, and how to get Gideon to underestimate her while revealing his own patterns. Her first step was testing loyalty. She approached Elena, the housekeeper whose hidden authority she had already mapped. "Elena," Clara said softly, leaning against the wooden railing, "I came across something in the East Wing yesterday. A journal. It seems to belong to someone in the Lockwood family." Elena's eyes widened slightly, betraying both curiosity and fear. I don't know of any such journal," she said quickly, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Clara smiled faintly. "Perhaps you're right, but it's possible someone left it behind, intentionally or not. Secrets often have a way of surfacing when least expected." By letting Elena fill in the blanks herself, Clara discovered a hidden network of allies who respected caution but hungered for guidance. It was subtle, indirect manipulation, but effective. She was beginning to influence without overt control. The afternoon brought the real revelation. While exploring a private wing rarely accessed by anyone outside the family, Clara discovered a hidden study behind a false panel in Gideon's father's old office. Dust-laden and forgotten, the room contained diaries, letters, and photographs chronicling the Lockwood family's darkest secrets, financial betrayals, clandestine alliances, and a tragedy that had shaped Gideon into the enigmatic billionaire he was today. One letter in particular caught her eye, a cryptic message hinting at a missing family heirloom, tied to a secret account that could expose powerful players within the financial world. Clara's pulse quickened. This was the real mystery behind the Lockwood fortune, far beyond the walls of the mansion. As she cataloged the items, footsteps echoed behind her. Gideon appeared in the doorway, the sharp lines of his face softened only slightly by the early evening light. "You found something most would have ignored," he said quietly, his steel-gray eyes studying her. Clara held his gaze. "I only noticed what was in front of me, but perhaps it was meant to be found by someone clever enough to see." Gideon's frown deepened. "Cleverness can be dangerous. Some things are hidden for a reason." "I understand," Clara replied, calm yet unyielding. "But hiding secrets doesn't make them disappear. Knowledge is power, and the power to understand must be wielded carefully. That's all I intend to do." For a long moment, the air hung thick with unspoken understanding. Gideon's eyes flickered, betraying both admiration and concern. Clara had crossed a threshold. She was no longer just observing. She had begun to navigate the family's shadows. As dusk fell, she returned to her room, where her satchel and notebook awaited. Carefully, she reviewed her discoveries: Elena's hidden network, the mysterious family journals, and the first hints of the heirloom that could unlock the Lockwood fortune's deepest secrets. Her thoughts shifted to strategy. She needed an ally within the mansion, someone she could trust and gently manipulate to act in her interest. Her eyes fell on Marcus, one of the young assistants whose rivalry with Leela had revealed ambition and insecurity. With patience and subtle guidance, she could make Marcus a loyal supporter, seeing her as a mentor while unknowingly furthering her plans. Clara outlined her next moves: subtle manipulation of key staff, gathering pieces of the family secret without drawing Gideon's full attention, testing reactions to small, controlled revelations. Lightning streaked across the night sky, illuminating the mansion in stark, fleeting flashes. Clara's mind raced with possibilities, calculations, and contingencies. The mansion was no longer just a place of employment. It was a board of strategy, intrigue, and power, and she had just begun to claim her pieces. Before sleep, she whispered to herself, determination burning in her hazel eyes. Every secret I uncover, every ally I gain, every truth revealed, it brings me closer to understanding the Lockwood legacy, and to proving I am not just clever, I am unstoppable. Somewhere in the mansion, Gideon watched the rain-streaked gardens, his thoughts heavy. She is dangerous, not reckless but precise. She sees what I have hidden for decades, and yet she might be the only one capable of understanding the weight of these secrets. The first real threads of power were forming in Clara's hands, and for the first time, Lockwood Manor's mysteries felt within her reach. The morning air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of wet earth from the gardens below. Clara awoke with a quiet excitement, her mind already racing through the plans she had meticulously laid out the night before. Today was the day to shift from observation to action, to make her presence felt in a way that could not be ignored. After a brief breakfast, she made her way to the main hall, where the staff had begun their morning routines. Clara's eyes scanned the room, noting the subtle dynamics she had already begun to map. Alina's cautious loyalty, Marcus's ambition, Leela's competitiveness, and Ethan's watchful curiosity. Each had a role to play, and today, she intended to move her pieces with precision. Her first step was to plan a carefully designed challenge, one that would test both the staff's competence and her growing influence. She approached Alina with a calm, confident tone. "Alina," Clara said, "I noticed that several ledgers from the financial archives are incomplete. If we reorganize the entries by category, I think it could reveal discrepancies no one has noticed before. Would you assist me?" Alina hesitated, uncertainty flickering across her face. But Clara's composed demeanor, combined with a subtle appeal to authority, prompted her to nod. "Of course, Miss Hayes," she replied. As they worked together, Clara guided Alina to uncover small irregularities, missing receipts, unexplained transfers, and coded notes. With each revelation, Alina became more impressed by Clara's keen eye and strategic thinking, unaware that Clara was carefully manipulating her perception. She was not just helping, she was orchestrating the uncovering of secrets to strengthen her position. Meanwhile, Marcus observed from a distance, curiosity ignited. Clara caught his gaze and offered a subtle nod, an invitation to be involved in the next stage. By evening, Marcus had become a willing ally, unknowingly participating in Clara's strategy to consolidate influence. But the most crucial move came in the presence of Gideon himself. Clara had discovered a subtle financial inconsistency that, if presented correctly, would demonstrate her value without overstepping boundaries. She waited until the evening, when the mansion had quieted and Gideon was alone in his study. "Sir," Clara began, stepping into the study with measured confidence, "I noticed something in the accounts that might warrant your attention. There's a series of transfers that don't align with the documented investments." Gideon looked up from his desk, his steel-gray eyes narrowing. "And you verified this?" "Yes," Clara replied, placing the ledgers carefully on the desk. "It may be minor, but it could have larger implications if left unchecked. I thought it best to inform you." A tense silence followed. Gideon scanned the ledgers, then back at Clara. His lips twitched, a mix of skepticism, curiosity, and grudging respect. "You've gone deeper than I expected," he said quietly. Clara met his gaze steadily. "I observe, sir. I learn. I ensure that the details no one notices are not overlooked." For the first time, Gideon allowed himself a small, approving nod. "Impressive. Very well, continue. But be cautious. Not everything meant to be found is harmless." Her heart raced with satisfaction. Not only had she demonstrated her worth, but she had also tested Gideon's reactions, noting the flicker of approval behind his guarded demeanor. That night, Clara retreated to her room and reviewed the day's victories. Alina's loyalty and perception had been subtly guided. Marcus had become an unknowing ally. Gideon had recognized her competence, while remaining unaware of her broader strategy. And most importantly, the discrepancies she had uncovered hinted at a shocking secret, a hidden investment tied to a clandestine partner that could shift the entire Lockwood Empire's power structure. As lightning streaked across the storm-laden sky, Clara felt a thrill of anticipation mixed with caution. The first bold move had been executed. She had entered the game, not as a pawn, but as a player capable of influencing events, controlling outcomes, and navigating the dangerous currents of wealth and power. Before sleep claimed her, she whispered, a fierce determination burning in her hazel eyes. I am no longer just observing. I am shaping this house, one secret at a time. And the moment the Lockwood world realizes my worth, they will not know what hit them. Somewhere in the mansion, Gideon remained in his study, reviewing the ledgers once more. His frown deepened, but beneath it, a spark of intrigue glimmered. She is dangerous, clever enough to see what I have hidden for decades. But perhaps she is exactly what this house needs. The first real power play had been made. The board was set, the pieces in motion, and Clara had just begun to weave the threads of influence that would shape Lockwood Manor's future. The morning sun barely pierced through the heavy curtains of Lockwood Manor, leaving the corridors dim and filled with shadows that seemed to whisper secrets. Clara awoke with a mix of exhilaration and caution. The first bold move had set her in motion, but the mansion had its own dangers, and she sensed that someone was already testing her. After breakfast, she wandered toward the servants' wing, noting subtle shifts in behavior. Leela, the ambitious assistant, avoided her gaze completely, while Marcus followed closely, eager to help. Clara realized the delicate balance of influence she had begun to establish could either solidify her position or unravel if she miscalculated. Her first task of the day was to gather information without revealing intent. She engaged in light conversation with Alina and Marcus, carefully observing reactions. A slip of a word, a nervous glance, a slight hesitation, Clara recorded them all. Soon, patterns emerged. Whispers of dissatisfaction among certain staff, hints of hidden alliances, and murmurs of secrets long buried. But then came the first sign of real danger. While examining the private corridors near the guest suites, Clara noticed a locked door slightly ajar, a door that was supposed to remain sealed. Curiosity piqued. She slipped inside, only to discover a small room containing documents and devices that suggested someone was spying on her movements. A chill ran down her spine. They know I am watching, and now they are watching me. Clara retreated silently, her mind racing. This was no ordinary challenge. It was a deliberate trap. Later that afternoon, Clara orchestrated a subtle test. She called Marcus aside, handing him a ledger with a coded note she had prepared. Marcus, she said softly, I need your help decoding this. It may reveal something important about the mansion's operations. As he worked, she observed him carefully, noting both eagerness and hesitation. Meanwhile, Leela, unaware of Clara's intentions, monitored Marcus closely, revealing her own ambitions and envy. Clara smiled inwardly. Both assistants had now revealed their priorities, fears, and weaknesses, unknowingly placing themselves within her strategic web. The mansion's greatest threat, however, emerged in the evening. While Clara reviewed the day's findings in her room, she sensed a presence outside her door. A shadow flickered across the hallway. Ethan, you've been busy, he said, his tone laced with curiosity and suspicion. I see you're not just observing, but be careful, Clara. Some secrets aren't meant to be uncovered by an orphan like you. Clara met his gaze, calm yet sharp. And some truths aren't meant to remain hidden, Ethan. I just ensure they are seen correctly. A tense silence followed. Ethan studied her for a long moment before retreating, leaving Clara to contemplate the game she had entered. Her position was growing, yes, but so was the danger. Every ally could also be a spy. Every move could trigger retaliation. That night, as she mapped the mansion's corridors and staff loyalties in her notebook, Clara uncovered a shocking revelation: a secret correspondence between two high-ranking staff members plotting to siphon funds from the Lockwood estate. The betrayal cut deep, not only because of the risk it posed to Gideon, but because it revealed the fragility of trust within the mansion. Her plan formed instantly. She would manipulate the betrayers, turning their greed against each other while subtly alerting Gideon in a way that kept her anonymity intact. Every step had to be precise. One miscalculation and the web could collapse, revealing her hand and endangering her position. As lightning illuminated the storm outside, Clara whispered to herself, "Every move I make must be calculated. Every ally and enemy observed. The mansion is a living game, and I am learning its rules faster than anyone else." In the shadows, Gideon watched the estate from his study. A faint frown tugged at his lips as he reviewed his security reports. Someone is stirring the currents within my house, and that someone may be smarter than I anticipated. The mansion had revealed its first true betrayal, and Clara had navigated it with skill, influence, and foresight. But the stakes were rising, and she knew the next confrontation would be even more dangerous, testing not just her intellect, but her courage, loyalty, and ability to manipulate the deadly currents of Lockwood Manor. The mansion was quieter than usual that morning, the usual clatter of trays and whispered conversations replaced by a tense, almost anticipatory silence. Clara awoke with a sharp focus. The discovery of the secret correspondence yesterday had ignited something within her. It was time to turn information into action. Clara began her day by observing her allies, Marcus, cautious but eager, and Alina, who now trusted her subtle guidance. Even Leela, whose jealousy had grown apparent, moved with calculated curiosity. Clara had begun weaving a network of influence, but she needed to test it by confronting the betrayers directly. By late morning, she orchestrated a situation that would force the conspirators into the open. She accidentally dropped a ledger near the kitchen where two staff members, Mr. Holloway and Mrs. Green, were whispering suspiciously. Their faces twisted with alarm as they realized Clara had seen the ledger. "You've been busy," Clara said softly, stepping into the corridor with a measured calm that belied her racing heart. "I couldn't help noticing some inconsistencies in the accounts. Care to explain?" The room froze. Holloway's lips twitched, Green's hands fidgeted, and both exchanged glances heavy with panic. Clara continued, voice low but firm. "Secrets have a way of revealing themselves here, sometimes sooner than expected. I suggest we speak openly before someone else does." Her words were not a threat, but a subtle trap, a challenge they could not ignore. Both Holloway and Green realized that resisting would only escalate their exposure. Clara had cornered them without raising alarms to Gideon. While she kept their attention, Marcus discreetly positioned himself nearby, giving Clara silent backup, while Alina observed from a distance, ready to intervene if needed. The conversation escalated carefully. Clara asked questions designed to draw out admissions without appearing accusatory. Piece by piece, Holloway and Green revealed their scheme, siphoning funds, falsifying records, and attempting to manipulate Gideon's investments to benefit external parties. Clara's mind raced as she processed the information. The betrayal was deeper than she had imagined, touching not only the mansion's operations, but also external alliances that could destabilize the Lockwood fortune. Once she had obtained enough evidence, Clara shifted her strategy. Instead of confronting Gideon directly, which could expose her too early, she began planting subtle clues for him to notice. A misplaced ledger, a highlighted line of correspondence, a question that hinted at the discrepancy. Each element was carefully designed to alert Gideon without revealing Clara's orchestration. By evening, the first stage of her plan was complete. Holloway and Green, realizing they were being watched by more than just their peers, retreated into cautious silence. Clara had neutralized an immediate threat without drawing attention to herself, and in the process, had tested the loyalty and reliability of Marcus and Alina further. Later, while reviewing the day's events in her room, Clara's eyes fell on a detail she hadn't noticed before, a faint watermark on the correspondence suggesting ties to a shadowy financial network, a network that might even connect to Gideon's most sensitive dealings. Her pulse quickened. This was no longer merely a mansion game. It was a broader conspiracy, reaching far beyond the walls she had first explored. As the storm raged outside, lightning casting fleeting shadows across her walls, Clara whispered to herself, "Every secret I uncover leads to another, and this one is bigger than I imagined. The game has grown, and soon, even Gideon will see that I am no ordinary observer." In the study, Gideon pored over his documents, his expression tense. "Something shifted in the mansion today. Someone has stirred forces I thought contained. And that Orphan, she may be more than clever. She may be dangerous." The stage was set for the next confrontation, not just with the conspirators, but with Gideon himself. Clara's influence was growing, her web expanding, and the mansion's deepest secrets were now within her reach. The mansion was shrouded in the muted gray of early morning, the air heavy with the scent of rain-soaked gardens. Clara awoke with a rare, sharp clarity. Today, she would push the boundaries of the game she had so carefully begun. Breakfast passed like a formality, the staff moving around her with subtle glances, aware of the tension that had begun to ripple through the mansion. Marcus lingered near her, eager for guidance, while Elena's calm presence offered a quiet shield. Leela's eyes burned with jealousy, and Clara welcomed it. It was fuel for her strategy. Her first move was deliberate and bold. She approached Gideon's study under the pretense of delivering a routine ledger update. The room smelled of aged leather and cedar, and Gideon's figure loomed over his desk, shadows from the blinds slicing across his sharp features. "Sir," Clara began, her voice steady, "I've traced the discrepancies in the accounts further. There's a connection to an external partner, someone who has influenced investments for years. It seems certain decisions were made without your knowledge." Gideon looked up sharply, the usual steel in his eyes hardening. "And how exactly did you discover this?" Clara met his gaze evenly. "By following the patterns others overlooked, and by asking the right questions. It's subtle, but the trail leads directly to a hidden ledger in your father's old office." A flicker of surprise crossed Gideon's face. He leaned back, studying her. "You've been poking where you shouldn't." "Perhaps," Clara replied, "but some truths demand attention. The house cannot protect itself from shadows within if those shadows are allowed to grow." Her words hung in the air, carrying a quiet defiance. Gideon's frown deepened, a mixture of frustration and intrigue. For the first time, Clara felt the electric pulse of testing the man she had long regarded as untouchable. After leaving the study, Clara executed the next stage of her plan. She subtly orchestrated a meeting between Marcus and Elena, planting hints of Holloway and Green's betrayal, but carefully leaving gaps for interpretation. Within hours, the two allies began strategizing together, unknowingly acting under Clara's influence to consolidate her power within the staff network. By late afternoon, Clara returned to the hidden study she had discovered weeks ago. There, among old diaries and letters, she found a shocking revelation. Gideon's father had secretly adopted a child from a rival family, a hidden heir whose existence could destabilize the Lockwood legacy. The letters detailed clandestine alliances, manipulations in business deals, and a coded plan that hinted at an inheritance hidden from the world. Her pulse quickened. This was more than a secret. It was a lever she could use to challenge Gideon indirectly, forcing him to reconsider the foundations of his authority. Every piece of the puzzle she collected gave her more control over the unseen currents of the mansion. As night fell, Clara convened a quiet gathering in the servants' wing. Marcus, Elena, and even a cautious Leela joined, unaware of the larger implications. Clara revealed minor inconsistencies and posed questions that encouraged them to draw their own conclusions, solidifying their trust in her judgment without revealing the full scope. Meanwhile, Gideon observed from the shadows of his study window, noting her movements, her influence, and her careful orchestration of events. A rare tension creased his brow. She is playing the house like a chessboard, and every piece moves under her direction. I have underestimated her, dangerously so. By the end of the night, Clara stood at her window, the storm-laden sky reflecting the growing fire in her hazel eyes. She whispered to herself, her voice a quiet promise. "The pieces are in motion. The shadows of this house are mine to navigate, and the power within Lockwood Manor is no longer untouchable. Gideon may still hold authority, but soon he will see that I am not merely clever, I am inevitable." The mansion slept, unaware that the first real shift in power had already begun. Clara's influence, subtle but absolute, had taken root, and somewhere in the darkened study, Gideon planned his next move, realizing that the game had grown far more dangerous and far more exhilarating than he ever imagined. The dawn broke over Lockwood Manor with a fiery intensity, sunlight cutting through the misty gardens like sharp blades. Clara awoke with a rare thrill of anticipation. The discovery of the hidden heir had shifted the rules of the game entirely. The mansion was no longer merely a puzzle to observe, it was a battlefield, and she now held a weapon few could imagine. Breakfast was subdued, the staff uneasy under the silent storm brewing in their midst. Marcus lingered near her side, ready to act at her subtle signal, while Alina's composed demeanor offered a quiet assurance. Even Leela seemed temporarily subdued, though her eyes still burned with curiosity and envy. Clara knew that timing was everything. The right word or gesture could turn loyalty into action, fear into leverage. Her first move was strategic. Clara sought out Gideon in his study, carrying only a single ledger and a calm, measured expression. The room smelled faintly of old books and polished wood, the morning sun casting long, angular shadows. "Sir," Clara began, her tone casual yet deliberate, "I came across information that might interest you. It concerns the Lockwood family's history, and a matter of succession you may not have considered." Gideon's eyes narrowed, the steel-gray gaze sharpened by instinctive wariness. "And what exactly have you discovered?" he asked, voice low but commanding. Clara placed the ledger on his desk with a soft, precise thud. "There's evidence your father adopted a child from a rival family. This heir was kept hidden, even from you, yet the legal documents exist. If revealed, it could alter the perception of the Lockwood legacy and the control over certain family assets." Gideon leaned back, a flicker of disbelief crossing his face. For the first time, his composed mask faltered. "And you're telling me this, why?" "Because knowledge must be wielded carefully," Clara said softly, her gaze unwavering. "I intend to ensure the house survives its own shadows, but some truths are too powerful to ignore." The tension in the room was palpable. Gideon studied her, weighing her words against the weight of decades of secrets. Clara sensed the slightest shift in his posture, a crack in the armor of control he had maintained over the mansion. With Gideon distracted, Clara moved to consolidate her influence among the staff. She called Marcus, Alina, and Leela to a secluded corner of the servants' wing, carefully framing the hidden heir not as a threat, but as a catalyst for change within the mansion. "This house has layers none of us truly understand," she began, her tone both commanding and persuasive. "But there are patterns, opportunities. If we act wisely, we can protect the mansion and its people, and gain influence in ways that serve us." Each carefully chosen word nudged her allies toward independent action under her guidance, strengthening their trust in her judgment while keeping the full scope hidden. By the time the meeting ended, Clara had not only secured loyalty, but had also ensnared them in a shared mission, making her influence all but invisible but incredibly potent. Later that evening, as the mansion lay under a velvet dark sky, lightning streaked across the horizon, reflecting in the windows like fleeting truths. Clara returned to the hidden study, poring over diaries, ledgers, and letters. She traced the connections between the hidden heir, Gideon's father, and powerful external partners, each revelation a potential lever in the power dynamics of Lockwood Manor. From her vantage point in the shadows, Clara whispered, "The heir is more than a secret. They are a key, and with the right moves, Gideon will have to acknowledge my presence, my vision, and my power." Unbeknownst to her, Gideon lingered in his study across the hall, his mind racing. She has seen too much, too quickly. But perhaps she is exactly the force this house needs. Dangerous, yes, but undeniably necessary. As the storm raged outside, Clara's influence spread silently through Lockwood Manor. Every ally, every rival, every shadowed corridor became a piece in her ever-growing strategy. The power balance had begun to shift, and for the first time, Clara was no longer just a player in the game. She was the architect of its new rules. The mansion slept, but its walls whispered with anticipation. Clara's next moves would test Gideon directly, manipulate hidden loyalties, and bring the hidden heir into play. And when the morning came, the house would be a very different place indeed. The morning sun barely touched the sprawling grounds of Lockwood Manor, filtered through clouds heavy with the promise of rain. Clara awoke with a rare sense of calm, not the restless excitement of before, but the quiet certainty of someone who had played the game and was ready to finish it. Today, the mansion itself would bear witness to her final moves. She moved through the halls with purpose, noting how the staff subtly deferred to her presence now. Marcus, once eager but uncertain, walked beside her with quiet loyalty. Alina followed at a distance, her eyes filled with respect and cautious admiration. Even Leela, who had once burned with envy, seemed to hesitate before speaking, sensing Clara's subtle authority. Her first act of the day was to summon Gideon to the Grand Hall, using the ledger and letters she had gathered as both evidence and leverage. The hidden heir, whose existence had been whispered about only in fragments, was ready to be revealed, but Clara would not rush the moment. She needed Gideon to see the full picture, the web she had woven, and the consequences of underestimating her. Gideon arrived, his tall frame cutting an imposing figure against the ornate shadows of the hall. His eyes met Clara's, sharp and calculating. "You asked to see me," he said, his voice measured. Clara held the ledger tightly, her hazel eyes steady. "Sir, it's time you understood the full scope of what's been happening in this house. Not just the staff's intrigues, not just the financial discrepancies, but the true legacy of the Lockwood family." With deliberate care, she laid out the story. Holloway and Green's betrayal, the hidden heir adopted by Gideon's father, the clandestine financial network, and the subtle alliances she had orchestrated among the staff. Gideon's expression shifted through disbelief, tension, and finally, a grudging respect. "You've done more than I imagined," he said quietly, "and you've done it without me even noticing until now." Clara stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. "Knowledge is power, sir, and power must be guided wisely. I've ensured the house's stability, protected its legacy, and revealed truths that needed to be faced." For a long moment the hall was silent, the weight of history, secrets, and strategy pressing against the walls. Then Gideon nodded slowly, acknowledging her achievement. "You've changed this house, Clara. You've earned your place here." At that moment, the hidden heir stepped forward, carefully guided by Clara, a young figure with uncertain eyes, holding the key to a family secret that had been buried for decades. Gideon studied them, a mix of surprise and awe in his gaze. Clara spoke softly but with clarity that carried through the hall. "The house must embrace the truth, Gideon. The heir is not a threat. They are part of the legacy you've protected all these years. And together, the mansion can move forward stronger than ever." Gideon's shoulders relaxed, a rare, genuine smile crossing his face. "You were right all along." Outside, the storm clouds parted, and sunlight spilled over the manor gardens. The staff, who had watched the unfolding events quietly, now moved with renewed purpose, their loyalties solidified under Clara's influence. Marcus and Alina exchanged glances, silent acknowledgement of the quiet power that had reshaped the household. Even Leela, humbled, now respected the woman who had navigated the shadows of Lockwood Manor with unmatched skill. Clara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. The game was over, not in defeat, but in mastery. She had uncovered secrets, navigated betrayals, and subtly challenged the authority of the man who once seemed untouchable. And as she stood at the top of the grand staircase, looking over the mansion she had transformed, she whispered to herself, "Lockwood Manor has its secrets, but now I hold the truth, the leverage, and the legacy. And no one, not even Gideon, can deny what I've earned." The mansion exhaled, a long-held tension lifting. The game had ended, the shadows laid bare, and Clara Hayes, observer, strategist, and architect of her own destiny, had emerged victorious. Sparkles, if you enjoyed this saga, don't forget to like and subscribe for more cinematic, suspenseful stories just like Clara's journey. Your support helps bring more twists, mysteries, and thrilling endings to life.